Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my movie vlog. My name is John Campea, and it is the end of 2017. I'm actually recording this on New Year's Eve of 2017, which means it's time today to do my top 10 best films of 2017. But first, I'm going to do my top 10 worst films of 2017. You know what? 2017 has actually ended up being a really good year for movies. There have been some spectacular films this year, but light rises in the darkness to meet it. There have been some equally awful movies this year. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I am going to announce the grand champion for worst film of 2017, but the other 9 are in no particular order. Why? Because these movies are so bad, they weren't worth the effort to try to order them in any particular way. So the first 9 films I'm going to list off as the worst films of 2017 are in no particular order, but then I will unveil the true grand champion as the worst film of 2017. So let's get started. One of the first top 10 worst films of 2017 is this little horror film, Friend Request. Got a wide release. Actually, I think it was released in Europe maybe a year or two ago, and then somebody just decided, hey, it's a good idea, let's release it here. Terrible idea. This movie is absolutely dreadful. Should never have been released, should never have been filmed. Friend Request is one of the worst films of the year. Next up is Flatliners. Now, there have already been enough puns made about the name of this movie in relation to how bad the actual film is, so I'm not going to do any more of those puns. Flatliners is one of the 10 worst films of the year. Another one, and maybe the most surprising one in this list for me, at least if you had asked me a year ago, it's the Will Ferrell, Amy Poehler film, The House. I love these two comedic actors, but you know what? You know how I often say that if they don't release the review embargo till the day the movie comes out, that's a red flag. You know what even a bigger red flag is, and I should have realized this? The fact that the studio didn't even do any press screenings of this movie. That's how bad The House is, and it deserves to be on this list. All right, next film up on our top 10 worst films of the year list. You all knew this one was going to be here. The Gerard Butler film, Geo Storm. I wish I could tell you that this movie was so bad it's good, and that it's so ridiculous it's kind of enjoyable, but I can't. This is just kind of an awful film, should never have been made, and Geo Storm belongs on this list. Next up, another film that all of you guys knew was going to be on this list, and that is, oh my god, it's so bad, the Emoji Movie. This one was actually a contender for worst film of the year. I decided something else deserved it a little bit more. So Emoji Movie does make it on the list, but it doesn't become like our grand champion. All right, next up, another film that all of you guys were completely anticipating would be on this list, and that is the sequel, 50 Shades Darker. Now, hey, look, you know what? I'll be the first one to tell you. I thought the first 50 Shades of Grey movie was just a bad movie. I thought it was just bad. I didn't think it was like all-time horrible movie. I just thought it was a bad movie, like there were many other bad movies. But this one is epically awful. I mean, this is the type of bad that you write songs about, that it's so bad. This is the type of movie that you make a disaster artist kind of movie about it 5 years from now. It was just that terrible. All right, next up, the second animated film to make our list and the final animated film to make our list. We've got, and this pains me, but Cars 3. Everybody knows I'm a huge fan of Pixar. I love the studio. However, there is simply no excusing just how bad, not just this Cars film has been, but how pretty much bad all the Cars films have been. None of them have been top 10 worst films of the year candidates for me, but Cars 3 was just simply a wasted effort. I mean, there is nothing redeeming about this film. I just detested the movie, and I've never said that about a Pixar film, but it deserves its place on this list, so here it is. All right, we got 2 more films to go before we get to the grand champion. And the next film up on our worst films of the year list, also one of the most disappointing films of the year to me, and that's Michael Fassbender's The Snowman. Look, a 90s style, murder and detective, like mass murder versus smart detective movie. This was going to be gold. You put in an actor like Michael Fassbender, it's going to be absolutely awesome, and it's terrible. It's not just disappointing. There's a difference between disappointing movies and truly horrible movies. This is a truly horrible movie that I completely regret I wasted 2 hours of my life on. All right, we move on now to the next one. And the next one is another big disappointing one to me, but it's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's kind of redo of the television series Baywatch. And again, this one made the disappointing list, but it's not on this list because it's just disappointing. This was a humorless, stupid, failure of a film. This movie is just awful. And I love Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And I love Zac Efron. And I thought that the potential for this movie was really there and really big and could have been something pretty special. But it didn't end up happening. All we did was get a mess of a movie. All right. That leads us up now to, although those films were in no particular order, this film, Where's the Crown? It takes on the title, it puts on the cape of the worst film of 2017, and maybe, when it's all said and done, will join the upper echelon of some of the worst films ever made in Hollywood big budget history, and that is Transformers: The Last Knight. Words have not been created to adequately express just how bad this movie is. And I am a big fan of the first Transformers movie, but as you know, they've all gone downhill ever since, culminating in this masterpiece of crap. And that's what Transformers: The Last Knight is, a masterpiece of crap. And it's too bad too, because this is the type of movie that usually appeals to someone like me. Big visual effects heavy, lots of actions, iconic characters. Optimus Prime is my hero. And yet, it's really just that awful. Transformers, I dub Transformers: The Last Knight as the worst film of 2017. Now, let's just quickly recap. The 10 films I've dubbed as the worst films of the year. We've got Friend Request. We've got Flatliners. We've got The House. We have the Gerard Butler film Geo Storm. We've got the wonderful animated film, The Emoji Movie. We have the epically awful sequel, 50 Shades Darker. We've got, how often do you get to say this, a tremendous failure from Pixar in Cars 3. We've got Michael Fassbender appearing in another dud in The Snowman. We've got a big disappointment with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in Baywatch. But the king of the hill this year is Transformers: The Last Knight. So there you have it, guys. My 10 worst films of 2017. Now, some of you may say, but there was this little film that never got into movies that's even worse. I generally just base my list on films that got wide releases in theaters, films that all of you could have seen had you had the misfortune of going to see it. So that's my list. But the question here is, what does your list look like? Because all film is subjective, and that means your list is going to look different from mine. So jump down to the comments section below and let me know what your worst films of 2017 list looks like. All right, guys, that will do it for me. I'm about to put up now my 10 best films of 2017 list. Look at my YouTube channel for that video. So until next time, I'm John Campea. Bye-bye.